The history behind this painting is messed up, and the story is totally true. At first glance, I thought that's dramatic, but after digging into the story behind it, it left me emotionally devastated. So I've decided to share that emotional gut punch with you, because what is history if not shared emotional trauma bonding, right? Speaking of trauma, it turns out Bloody Mary was responsible for the event we see here. And yes, I'm talking about that Bloody Mary. You know, the creepy sleepover game where you would say her name a few times in a mirror and she should pop up behind you? I'll get to all of that in a second, but first a quick ask. If you find any of this stuff interesting, please like, subscribe, comment. I love to chat about this with other weird history lovers. So for now, let's talk about Lady Jane Grey, the teenage girl who was manipulated, crowned, imprisoned, and eventually beheaded, all in less than a year. And somehow, she barely gets mentioned, so let's fix that. Her parents were basically the original pageant parents. Like, imagine the moms from Dance Moms meets Tudor England. By all accounts, Jane was chill, bookish, and smarter than everyone in the room. She was fluent in 5 languages, obsessed with philosophy and literature. I get very Hermione Granger vibes, but her parents, they didn't care about any of that. They just wanted the throne, and Jane was their golden ticket. Now meanwhile, King Edward VI is on his deathbed, and he is not vibing with the idea that his half-sister Mary, soon to be Bloody Mary, is going to be taking over. So what does he do? He dives deep into the Tudor family tree and plucks out his Protestant cousin Jane. So behind Jane's back, King Edward and her parents start plotting. They arrange for her to be married to Guilford Dudley, the son of one of the most powerful families in the country. And Jane? She's forced into an arranged marriage, which sadly wasn't that uncommon at the time. What was weird is that King Edward had signed orders stating that Bloody Mary was to be skipped as queen and Lady Jane was going to wear the crown. Lady Jane was only married for 6 weeks when the king died, and 3 days later, on July 9th, she was told that she was going to be the next Queen of England. So that's today, July 9th, the day that I'm filming this. That's random and kind of weird, but I thought that was kind of cool, so I'd tell you. But yeah, she was made queen the next day on July 10th, which is tomorrow. That's weird. Yeah. Lady Jane reportedly fainted when she found out. I mean, same. She wanted no part in that game, but she really didn't have a choice at that point. Despite being shoved into the role, she didn't go down quietly. Her new husband and his family demanded that Jane name him as king, but she refused and decided to rule alone. She was beginning to see how everyone around her was just using her. That kind of defiance was super rare, especially for a teenage girl in the 1500s. She didn't want to wear the crown, but if she had to wear it, she was going to do things her way. And with all the lies and manipulation going on behind her back, I can't blame her. The problem is, she had zero political support. Parliament didn't back her, and the public had no idea what to do with her. So enter Bloody Mary. Nobody expected Mary to challenge Jane's ascension to the throne, but they soon realized that they had gravely underestimated her. Catholic, daughter of King Henry VIII and his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, who King Henry did dirty when Mary was just a little girl, so getting the throne back was personal. Mary raised an army, marched to London, and took the crown. On July 19th, Mary Tudor was officially the new Queen of England. And that's the day I'm releasing this video, July 19th. So if you're watching this in real time, you're literally watching it on the anniversary of the day that Mary or Bloody Mary took the throne back from Lady Jane Grey. Kind of a weird coincidence, creepy, I don't know, you decide. Just 9 days after Jane was crowned, it was over. Lady Jane Grey, England's 9-day queen, was arrested, imprisoned, and locked in the Tower of London. Now, here's where things get extra twisted. Mary, now Queen Mary, originally didn't want to execute Jane. She planned to spare her and her husband, but then Jane's dad joined a rebellion to overthrow Mary. He just couldn't let the dream go. That move sealed Jane's fate. Even though Jane had no knowledge of the uprising, Mary realized that Jane was always going to be a figurehead for Protestant discontent. Jane spent her last days writing letters, deep philosophical, theological letters. She didn't beg, she didn't cry, she accepted her fate with guts and grace way beyond her years. They say that the day before their executions, Guilford actually asked Jane for one last meeting, which she refused, saying it would only increase their misery and pain, and it was better to put it off, as they would meet again shortly elsewhere and live bound by indissoluble ties. Lady Jane Grey was just 16 or 17 years old when she died. She walked up the scaffolding, said a prayer, handed her gloves and handkerchief to a lady-in-waiting, and actually forgave the Axeman. And this is the part that got me. She was blindfolded, and for a moment she was lost in the dark. She reached out blindly and whispered, "What shall I do? Where is it?" Someone actually had to guide her hand to the block where she laid her head down, and just like that, a bright, brilliant girl was gone. Lady Jane's execution did nothing for Mary's popularity. In fact, it was seen as unnecessary by many of Mary's closest advisors and subjects. They say her ghost still haunts the Tower of London, and honestly, it's terrible. It's terrible. I feel really bad for history. You gotta love it, huh? Now, here's where things get interesting. Queen Mary earned her nickname Bloody Mary for burning nearly 300 Protestants alive. She was absolutely ruthless. But near the end of her reign, she didn't execute another political rival, her half-sister Elizabeth I, who, like Jane, was Protestant, young, politically dangerous, and also imprisoned in the Tower. Why? There were calls for Elizabeth's head, like very loud ones, but Mary couldn't do it. Maybe it was just politics, or maybe, just maybe, she looked at Elizabeth and saw Jane all over again. Another teenage girl being used, another brilliant mind being caught up in someone else's ambition. Maybe Bloody Mary saw Jane's face when she would say names into the mirror. Maybe Jane's death haunted her more than she let on. And maybe I shouldn't have said Bloody Mary so many times without making sure there wasn't a mirror nearby. And now back to this painting, Paul de la Roche's The Execution of Lady Jane Grey. I apologize, that's probably not how you say his name, but you can see her in that heartbreaking moment where she couldn't find the block. But if you look closely, around the edges, the artist paints the scene like it's on a stage. I can't say for sure, I am absolutely no art aficionado, but I don't think this was just for drama. I think it was trying to say something deeper. A subtle nod saying that what happened to Lady Jane Grey wasn't an execution, it was political theater. And Jane, she was cast as the tragic lead in a play that she never auditioned for. So yeah, not exactly a fairy tale, but a story that deserves to be told. Jane Grey was more than a trivia question or a blip in history. She was smart, strong, and just stuck in a blender of royal ambition and betrayal. It's sad. So yeah, if you want more weird royal stories and betrayal and ghost stories, hit that subscribe button, give me a like, comment. It's awesome, I appreciate it. Oh, also, I'm working on part 2 of Marie Ruthven and the Scottish Witch Trials. Check out the first part here if you haven't seen it before. Thanks for checking this out. Let me know if you have any questions or if I have anything wrong. I'm just researching this all myself, so anywho, stay nerdy, stay curious, and in the words of Tina Belcher, if you wanna brazzle, you gotta expect some dazzles. Or, I said that. If you wanna dazzle, you gotta expect some razzles, so we'll see you next time.